Hello, I'm Air Commodore Nick Britton. This is Group Captain Lou Henson. Together, we head up CM Nexus. And today, we want to try something new. Instead of just the usual frequently asked questions you can read online, we're going to try and make a video of the frequently asked questions. If you like this, then please add comments at the end and we'll be able to do it again, perhaps with a live audience next time. So, the first question we get from our roadshows we've been doing, something like this. With an awful lot of change ongoing, what is the need for Project CM Nexus? And let me answer that. We are delivering what you have asked us to do. On those AFCAS surveys, the satisfaction rate for career management is at the lowest it's been for years. And you know, I think they're right to be dissatisfied. We have systems going back to the 1970s. We are not reflecting the modern age. We are not giving enlisted aviators and our officers the career management systems they deserve for halfway or a quarter of the way through the 21st century. Moreover, there are other programs of change going on, and I think of my own change program Professions, that have promised things in the career management space that need to be delivered. I think here of career management by competence. That process, that heart of the program Professions, needs now to have a system to enable it to happen. So, we have dissatisfaction where we currently are, and we have a need for change from other programs. That is why we're delivering CM Nexus. Now, Lou, perhaps you could do the next question. The question that we get is, how is this going to change career management for me, the enlisted aviator?
So the whole point of CM Nexus is about improving the lot for our service personnel, our customers of career management. What we want to do and what we will do is we will provide greater empowerment, and by that I mean choice, visibility, so people can have a greater say in the jobs they want to apply for. We're going to apply greater transparency, so people can see, A, what jobs are available, what promotion board statistics look like, what promotion board results are like. So information is there at individuals' fingertips. We're going to make use of greater technology for the career manager and for our individual.
Good answer, thank you. So the next one is this technology. What does it mean? Perhaps I can do that one. So what does technology mean? We're referring here to the game changer that is Skio. So Skio is a software system that takes our JPA data and presents it back to us in a usable way. It's going to present it to us on our telephones, on our mobile phones, on our own bring-your-own device, if I may use the vernacular of the modern speak, so that our personnel at home, in the crew rooms, wherever they are, can have access to what jobs are available and an expression of interest tool on their phone. They can see how many other people have made an expression of interest. They can therefore gauge their appetite. If 200 enlisted aviators want this one job in Coningsby, the chances of getting it are quite low. If no one wants this job over here, if you put the expression of interest in, the chances of getting it are quite high. And this technology will go straight from that mobile phone back into the assignment selection tool that the career managers use, so that they know that this person has asked for that job, rather than trying to remember, trying to trawl through emails. Instead, the machine does the administration for us. This is a game changer. And before you ask, because I know what the next question is, because I've already read it, before you ask, is this another HROM moment? Is this where the idea is fantastic, but the technology wasn't quite ready to be delivered? And I reassure you and the visitors, audience at home, no, it is not that moment. Because Skio is new to us, but not new to defence. The Royal Navy have been successfully using Skio for the last 4 years. They are streets ahead of where we are. We are just taking their tried and tested technology and giving it to RAF personnel. Okay. Now, let's try the next question. Why does the project finish at September 24? Lou, perhaps you'd like to tell the audience why the project finishes in September 24.
We've set a hard date of 18 months to see how much we can achieve. I do expect certain elements of this project will continue, such as career management for reserves, but by setting such a hard target, we are able to use the agile development of Skio to keep ourselves focused and keep delivering results. We also expect that Oracle Fusion will roll out in about 2 years' time. So what we want to do is have Career Management Nexus finished in time of the rollout of Oracle Fusion. So our JPA data is baselined, it's accurate, and our systems are modern and therefore able to take on any new systems that are introduced to us.
Thank you. This Oracle Fusion thing, perhaps we should explain to the audience who may not know. We have our JPA system. It's been running successfully now since, I was serving in Sierra Leone when it came in, so that must be 2006.
Six.
So we've had it for some time, but we've grown and changed and adapted it, made it more specific to us, so that the JPA we bought is not the JPA we have now. Indeed, they tell me that the only people on earth who have modified their JPA Oracle systems more than us is the National Health Service. They have 1.6 million employees. We have, on a good day, 200,000 in the armed forces. But we have now the second most Oracle adapted system. And the centre is going to try and deliver for us Oracle Fusion, the next generation of JPA. And as you say, we need to be ready, both in our systems of record that we have internally for our business, and then for our personnel, that they are used to engaging with their next system of record, the next JPA, via their phones, via that device system, rather than logging on more formally. This is going to be another change moment for the RAF and for Ministry of Defence when it comes to sometime around, as you say, 25, 26 or 27. Thank you. Now, I'll ask one more question, if I may, of you, Lynn. Will this project be able to achieve such a change in career management that we'll be able to notice a tangible difference for our personnel?
Yes. We're looking at 6 pillars that we want to work along align our work strands to, and therefore provide KPIs, for example, or at least ways people can see where we have made a difference. 6 pillars are, so efficiency, predominantly within career management, to modernise the processes that our personnel are using, to make the life of our career manager easier. We're bringing them from the 1980s into the 21st century with technology that is reliable, that works, that doesn't mean they're dependent on Excel spreadsheets. Fairness. We want to make sure that we can demonstrate that our systems are as fair as possible, whether that's the appraisal system, the promotion system, the assignment selection system, and linking into the next pillar is via transparency. So we'll sort out our transparency. There's so much information, as you know, sir, that is available within career management that wasn't being published, that everybody could have access to, that everybody could see, and therefore they can understand how long it takes to get promoted, whether or not promotion rates are high or low. So people can start to make informed decisions about their career, because if you know it takes on average 2 years to promote, 12 years to promote, you can make informed decisions. And the technology you've already mentioned with SCIO and the information that we're going to be able to put available at people's fingertips will very quickly be able to demonstrate transparency. We're also going to look at consistency, and that's in terms of how the IT works, how our policy works, to make sure that everything we do and every decision we make is the same. There will be some nuances between officer and aviator career management, but again, looking to align those as much as possible, so therefore we've got one technology solution that works for all. Communication, and that is the big one for us. There's an awful lot of change that has already happened and is to come, and career management were not very good at telling people what they were doing, what we are doing, how we are doing it, and why we are making those changes and the impact it means for our individuals. So the roadshows, question and answer sessions, infographics are starting to hit the streets and will continue to do so. And the final pillar is talent and development. So the talent and concepts development team are already delivering. Lead launches this summer for AS1, which is the first of 4 programmes this financial year. Project Hub, Talent Hub, lots of information for individuals at their fingertips to either help develop their team or further develop themselves or tap into skill sets that they may have. So all of these we should be able to benchmark quite quickly, quite easily, so people can see the difference that we are making for them and for their career managers.
I think on that communications space, you've already demonstrated great success just by that promotion board statistics, the donuts that explain what's happening in every prom board. I note we started with officers, but we're already on to the enlisted aviator prom boards.
We are, sir.
We have some 127 of those, so it will take us some time to work through. And I'd also like to tell the audience at home that those statistics that come out after the board are only one shot. It's that moment after the board of the initial PSL release, but it is the initial release only. There will be another releases later on. The statistics we go for, the targets we seek, are never ever accurate. And so at the end of each promotion year, we'll also be republishing the statistics so that you can see how many enlisted aviators were promoted actually in each year. But that comes, I also feel sorry for career management. They are so busy as we work in career management, they simply did not have the time to communicate what we were doing. And that, of course, I think is one of our failings. This program, and I'm grateful for your help in delivering it, this program is getting after that communication for them and enabling us to have that relationship with enlisted aviators with truth. This is what's happening. This is how we manage their expectations. Let them see what's going on in our business. And it's all down to the work you are doing, and thank you very much for your team.
You're welcome, sir.
That's very kind of you. It's a good OJR moment. Right, the next question we get asked is, what will success look like for CM Nexus? And I think I'll have a go at that. I mentioned at the beginning of all of this, for those of you still watching, I mentioned at the beginning of all of this that the AFCAS data was one of our drivers, that our perception that the enlisted aviators have of career management was low, and we need to get after that. We did a Lime survey after the AFCAS where we invited anyone in the RAF to tell us about their views of career management. Some 4,500 of you responded. And of those 4,500, it did not make good reading about what we're going to do. So, what does success look like for me is when I repeat the Lime survey, and I will, and when AFCAS is repeated, and as you know it's annual, that your perception of the service we're trying to give you has changed. Moreover, what success looks like for me is that the culture of the service is amended. No more does decisions happen in dark spaces you're unaware of. Now we try and put each individual enlisted aviator and officer aviator into the heart of the decision making. So they have the same information, the same expectations. Nothing happens in closed rooms. Everything is open and transparent. And I hope that changes our culture and what we do. Moreover, this technology will enable other decisions to be taken. So currently we have a very simple system because that's all we can manage. But I want more flexibility in our systems because CM Nexus and SCIO will enable that flexibility, which will do further changes for career management. This is the beginning, not the end, when we finish in September 24. Now, another one. Are the changes being delivered equally across the board to all aviators, both enlisted and officers? Would you like that one, Lee?
Yes, sir. On the whole, yes. What people have seen in terms of some of the statistics, as you've briefly mentioned, is that actually some of the officer statistics have come out first, and the transparency as to who's been sitting on promotion boards and presiding on promotion boards has come out first. Mainly for simplicity. The officer boards are smaller and less frequent, so it's been easier to collate that data, trial it, check it looks right, and it gives the information that individuals want, and we've been able to get some quick feedback from those promotion boards. Same for pre-boarding feedback. Again, we've trialled it on some of the smaller officer cohorts, gotten the feedback, and have now started to roll that out wider across all cohorts. Enlisted aviator statistics are coming out, and they will come out monthly. It's just taken a little bit longer to collate that data because at the moment it's being delivered manually by the teams. SCIO will be able to automate that very soon, but it's just taken a little bit longer because some of the promotion boards are bigger. So again, it's making sure we've got that data correct. But on the whole, most of what we're doing is going to deliver parity of treatment for both enlisted aviators and officers. Some of the talent concepts and development ideas are predominantly focused at aviators, especially lead. It is all about our enlisted aviators, 5-star officers, to take people that we feel have got talent, that their line managers feel they're showing early signs of talent, and how we can invest in them to get the best out of them in the early stages of their career. So there is a mix, but on the whole, a lot of what we do will provide parity.
Good, thank you. If I may, forgive me for extending your answer, but if I may, one of the things I like about what we're doing in CM Nexus is to give some of the rigour of the enlisted aviators career management to the officers' space. No more an art form, but more of a science about things. That thing about transparency and consistency. Because some of that rigour from the enlisted to the officers. But similarly, the engagement the officers get is much stronger than the engagement the enlisted aviators get. By freeing up the capacity of the desk officers, the career managers, they'll have more ability to deliver the engagement to our enlisted aviators. If you like, what we called enhanced career management a few years back, we'll finally have the technology to deliver that enhanced career management. So let me just talk timelines a little further. You mentioned that September 24, we want to get it all done by, so they're ready for the Oracle fusion moment when Oracle comes our way from the centre's largesse. But before then, we do have more exciting things to offer. By this summer, the expression of interest tool, the jobs selection tool, will be available on the phone of every enlisted aviator. So by the end of the summer, anyone, anywhere, will have this game-changing moment of seeing every role, every single role that's available in the RAF being offered on their telephone. That's going to be our change manager. Now, Lou, let me ask you some questions that they haven't put through. Let me just think what I would ask if I was an enlisted aviator or an officer looking to this change program. Why is it taking you so long to get this sorted out if the Navy have been 4 years ahead of you already? So let me answer that question myself, if I may. So yes, we recognise the Navy's ahead of us, and yes, even the Army with CM Portal is slightly ahead of us. But that our excuse, if we need one, is we were so busy. We are not a large organisation in career management. Some of our career managers have 1,000 service personnel they're trying to manage on their desks. This is not easy. Indeed, I'd invite any aviator who wishes to come onto the floor plate to see the pace at which we work. It was simply frenetic. What this required to enable us to get after it is people like you, Lou. We got an extra team in. We got more resources. Unsurprisingly, every major change program requires resources to deliver it. To ask people to change in flight whilst in contact was too much for us. Okay. Why didn't you try asking me a question that an aviator would like to ask?
A lot of feedback from the roadshows has focused around the appraisal system and a view that more could be done to improve that. What are your thoughts on how we can improve the appraisal system?
Yeah, good question actually. That is a good question. We should have asked that as part of the stage questions, but that's an excellent question. What can I do about appraisals? Well, two things really. One is teach people how the system is supposed to work. Mm-hmm. So you may have seen, or the aviators at home may have seen, our DLE-based training. Yep. Not just for appraisal writers, but also designed for those who receive an appraisal. Everyone in the Air Force, from the Chief of the Air Staff down, gets an appraisal. What does it mean? How can you interpret it? How can you help, if you're the subject of a report, how can you help your reporting officers write the best, most accurate report? The one that talks about the what you have done, how you have done it, and the impact that change achieved. These are the compelling reports. These are the ones that will get officers and enlisted aviators promoted off our promotion board systems. However, I also accept that our process is old. When I joined the Air Force a long time ago, when Pontius was a pilot, we had a different system of confidential reporting. You never even saw your report, you were just debriefed on it. Then we moved through other iterations. And right now, there's another iteration of change being discussed at the centre by TSLD, the new TESA, for those familiar with such acronyms in the centre, about changing the joint appraisal system. Because, of course, it's not the RAF's only appraisal system. It is a tri-service used by all of us. So those changes are currently being discussed, and I am hoping to engage with my colleagues in TSLD about what they're trying to get from that appraisal change, what we really want in our future. So, in no great rush, it might take them a year or 2 or 3 to consider those changes, but we are also onto that business of how we can change the appraisal system. At its heart, though, promotion boards are, if you like, blind to everything apart from what's written on that SJAR or OJAR. And I deliberately make it so. So it doesn't matter that anyone on the promotion board, any member or officer on the promotion board knows the individual enlisted aviator or officer. We don't allow any of that discussion. We don't allow any of that. We're in many ways not assessing airmen, or enlisted aviators or officers. We're assessing pieces of paper on that board. So it's blind to every other interference. But of course, it does make that piece of paper the sole thing that will get you promoted. That, of course, is a risk. You can imagine much broader processes, like the Royal Navy used to have 150 years ago, with actual boards where you have to go and present yourself and get challenged. You can imagine exams and all the other things that you could do. But it does slow the system down. So at the moment, it will carry on as it is, but that DLE training is vital. And I'd recommend it to anyone, whether you write on reports or you're writing reports as a first or second RO or third RO, or whether you're the subject of the report. It's worth a view. Thank you for the question.
Got another question, sir.
In that case, ask me your question.
You see, you've just touched on promotions. And again, it was an area that came up with quite a lot of comments from the Pulse survey. As ACOS Career Management, can you provide reassurance and comment on how you ensure that the promotion system is as fair as it can be? Yeah,
so we run 127 enlisted aviator boards a year and 12 officer boards a year, looking at everyone who's in the zone. You may remember when I spoke about the infographics I praised you on delivering, how that shows our personnel, how the system works, how many years seniority we expect, what below the zone does, etc., etc. Then, how we actually run the prom boards themselves. We are rigorous in making sure that they are not biased. We make sure that they don't bring into account anything apart from what's written on that piece of paper. We make sure they've done the appropriate training before they go and sit on the board. And then we have observers to keep us honest. We have thousands of personnel who observe our boards. Now that the enlisted aviators are done online, as it were, via Teams call, then it's very easy to have observers come and watch what happens at the board. Similarly, the officer ones are hybrid. We sit in a room in Building 22 here at RFI Wickham, but anyone can dial in of the appropriate rank to listen in. And indeed, for the enlisted aviators, I'm talking about allowing corporals to listen into AS1 to corporal boards so that they can see how the process works as well. But the more observers I have, the better. Finally, I've just gone through the DIA audit, Defence Internal Audit process, and I'm looking forward to the report to come out in the coming weeks to confirm that we are doing this the right way we possibly can, bearing in mind the limitations of a paper board. It is what it is, but I will not allow any other things. Finally, I am looking with the technology that SCIO gives me to take the OJAR, SJAR comments off the JPA, use SCIO and present the board with just that data on SCIO. I can therefore take away, if I wish to, the service number, which gives an indication of how old someone is. I could take away the EED, the end of engagement date, that gives an indication of how close people are to the end of their service careers. Those bits of information are not required by the board. And right now I have a study running about whether I should take away the name and the gender of the individual. So instead of saying, Group Captain Lou Henton, she, her, I could just say candidate. I could say they, there. And that might be another way. I'm investigating whether that's necessary. There's no proof in our data that female or male or ethnicity makes a difference to how promotion boards work. But you never know, do you? So I'm going to consider whether that can make it better in the future. And that will be part of this CM Nexus program, which I'll also complete by September 24. Thank you for your question. Do you have another one?
I was going to ask you about career management for reserves.
Okay, that's not a bad point either. It was with somewhat of a surprise when I took post a year ago to find that our career management for reserves is not really there, despite the fact we rely on reserves. This service can't operate without reserves. Indeed, I happened to be talking to Group Captain Peart the other day, the Decos of Reserves. 15% of the individual augmentees currently out and about doing the defence tasks are reservists. So if we didn't have those 15%, that'd be another 15% of regulars would be out doing those tasks. And yet, with all that need, we don't have a way of managing them. We need some of our reservists to do careers. We're trying to grow them from SAC, forgive me, I'm not allowed to say SAC, AS1 through to warrant, from pilot officer through to 2-star, and yet we don't have a process. So we rely on Serve, the website that enables us to advertise our jobs, but that's not quite career management. So Group Captain Peart, as part of CM Nexus, has mobilised 2 reservists to understand what processes we want, how would it happen, can it be on their phone. I've promised earlier that every enlisted aviator and officer will be able to see by the summer on their phone every job that's on offer, be able to apply it on their phone. Is there something similar we can deliver for the reservist community? And then what sort of career management do reservists need or want? Is it the same level that we provide to the regular cohort, or is it something slightly different? But how do we manage and support a career within the reserves? And that work is going to be delivered under this program as well. I've started it slightly later because I wanted to get after the mass of the regulars first, but that is part of our program, which I also wish to conclude by September 24. And I see I have a final question.
Do so.
Thank you. As an aviator, how can I play my part? Okay, that's not such a bad question. I spoke at the very beginning about program professions. That requires, for the next 6 professions that are going to graduate, this week, when it's intelligence graduates after the Chief of the Air Staff approved it last month. When intelligence graduates, and that's the first example of a profession which has multiple old trade groups in it. So there's going to be a change in employment expectation. That change, as we always promised under program professions, requires an offer to transfer. So no one is going to be forced into a new profession. I'm hoping, of course, they will come with us on this journey, otherwise what was the point? But no one's forced to. If they want to stay where they are, they can stay in their old trade group. So an offer to transfer must be delivered. Now that's going to be delivered via SCIO. So what enlisted aviators and officers can do, log on to SCIO. It's not difficult. It's hosted on the RAF Intranet CM page. You can log on there at the moment until we square it out into your phones. But you can log on there. It's the same PUID you use and the same password that you use for your modnet. You log on there and it starts your relationship with Skio. When you log on today, you can see all sorts of information about yourself that JPA owns, and more importantly, you can see all the jobs, all the roles in the RAF and when they're being available. Not on some Mickey Mouse spreadsheet, but the true data that comes from JPA. So, what can the enlisted aviator do to help? Log on to Skio is the key one. Also, get involved. Look on our SharePoint site. Go to our station roadshows. Ask us difficult questions. Indeed, as this is our last question we have for you today, I'd like you to get involved with this process. If you found this useful, if you found this interesting enough to watch all the way to the end and hear us talk at the end, then write a comment that you found it useful, and we'll try it again with different questions. Send us your questions. If you found this difficult and not worth watching, then tell us and we'll stop wasting your time with it and we'll do other things. But for those of you who got to the end, thank you for listening. Thank you.